Have you ever heard that you only use 10% of your brain? It's a cool thought, right? If you could tap into it, you'd be a superhuman genius. That's not how our biology works, but did you know there is a brain state that improves our productivity by 500%? You'd get done on Monday what takes your competitors the rest of the week. By Tuesday, you'd have 2 weeks worth of work finished.
Now hold on there, buddy.
What seems to be the problem, officer?
That sounds too good to be true. I'm placing you under arrest for clickbaiting.
Hold on, it's not clickbait. This is backed by science.
Yeah, science you can learn for $10.99 a month. I'm familiar with your game.
No, it's free, I promise.
But I bet you're gonna tell me some monk could do it after meditating all day for 50 years, but it's meaningless for the rest of us.
It's not that either. You can start using this tomorrow. Just give me a chance to explain.
No.
Look, I know how it sounds, but it's a real thing and you've heard of it. You might know it as being in the zone, or playing out of your mind, or runner's high, but in this video, I'm going to refer to it as flow. Biologically, flow is a state where the brain is flooded with performance-enhancing neurochemicals. The neocortex goes into overdrive and the prefrontal cortex slows down. Flow is the only time we know of where we get all these chemicals at once, and the result sorta is like using the rest of your brain. Flow is a state of relaxed peak performance, just excelling without trying. You lose your sense of self, time distorts, and you focus exclusively on what you're doing. Learning, motivation, creativity, and performance vastly increase. You will never outperform what you can do in flow. Of course, all of this would be useless if you couldn't actively train utilizing it. Luckily, this brain state has well-documented triggers. Perhaps the first example of how to get into flow comes from one of the most translated books in the world after the Bible, The Little Prince. No, it's Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. In it, he emphasizes Wu Wei. This is when, instead of doing an act, one becomes it. So there you go, guys. Just become your homework. Hey man, do you know where... Oh, nice. Playing some games? No, I'm getting into a flow state. Shouldn't you be, like, meditating or something? Shouldn't you, like, get a job? While you've certainly been in flow states before, if you're not actively practicing it, they probably don't last long and might not apply to the things you want them to. A fundamental characteristic of this mental state is complete focus. In other words, you can't multitask or be distracted and get into flow. Now, that's a lot easier to do for things you enjoy. For instance, it's remarkably easy for me to get into flow when I'm playing fighting games. It's a bit harder when working on a presentation, and if you break flow, it takes a long time to get back into it. The problem with flow is that you can't activate it by actively doing something. You can't force it. You have to induce it by meeting certain conditions and letting your body do the work naturally. So let's talk about the first and most important prerequisite for peak performance: eliminating distractions.
So you're gonna tell them to get off their phones.
Yeah, and set up specific times where they don't need to respond to others' needs right away.
Wow.
What?
Nothing, but like, isn't that the most cliche productivity advice? I'm sure they've heard that a million different times in a million different videos. Oh, just get off social media and your life will change. You know, you're not the most entertaining guy. You might as well just tell them to go to bed early. Hey, are you okay? You know, not...
8 hours on my phone. 8 hours for television. Full-time distraction. Willpower struggles valiantly but falls in battle. I put up barriers to distraction. Do not disturb deftly devours daily disorder. Twitter isn't worth checking on desktop. My environment is clear, but the internal war smolders. Anxiety, stress, do I sense hunger? Meditation bolsters the front lines. Okay, so you've eliminated distractions and you're ready to focus entirely on the thing. The next question is, when are you most alert? You might know this as your biological peak time. For me, it's the afternoon. It's pretty hard to get into flow while you're drained. Your best bet is to start practicing when you know you'll be energized and more easily able to focus. Then you can try applying it in different times. I will say, in my experience, one of the things we get sold is the value of grinding past difficulties. You know, go to bed at midnight and get up at 4 a.m. and you'll have more time to brute force your way past problems. And that can have its place. However, keep in mind that results couldn't care less how much effort you put into the work. Some people will try to convince you that you need to keep doing the same thing with more intensity instead of making your process smarter because it's all they know. Alright, well, I think we can safely say welcome aboard. Thank you. I'm very excited about the opportunity. So, I'm gonna need you to negotiate a contract with a client this afternoon. Huh? But I just got here. I don't know anything. What? You said in the interview you used the flow state to get lots of work done. Just do that. That's not really how it works. Plus, I don't think a software engineer should really— I expect great things, Flow Guy. I like that. From now on, you're Flow Guy, Flow Guy. Flow's a pretty needy partner. You need to hit a Goldilocks level of difficulty for the things you want to apply it to. Too easy and your brain will be bored. Too hard and you won't be able to achieve the high-speed decision-making and focus it needs. To start, stick with tasks that are just a little outside your skill level. This should help you get into it. Finally, you can't use flow for vague goals. You need to pick one very specific task. For example, if I said, I'm gonna get this project done in flow state, that'd be useless. What does that even mean? But let's say I know the components of the project. Research one area, write a report, put some data into graphs, blah, 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 blah. You want to highlight one clear goal at a time to let flow in. Something like, I'm going to summarize these findings in a 2-page report using non-technical language in Flow. My last piece of advice is to have a routine to start it. This isn't technically a requirement, but it helps. Some people use music, instrumental, repetitive, familiar music. Some people use exercise, going on walks. Some people meditate or have mantras. Whatever it is, keep it consistent and Pavlov's dog yourself so you can set the stage for getting into flow quickly. All right, let's summarize. Flow is a high-performance state and the only one we know of where your brain gets all the performance-enhancing neurochemicals at the same time it gets in flow. You'll know you're in flow when you're super focused, you lose some sense of self, time can feel distorted, but great results just seem to come from your body naturally without effort. You can use this in sports, business, play, anytime you meet the conditions. You can't force flow, but your body will do it naturally. Eliminate distractions, practice when you're well rested, choose tasks that are a little harder than your skill level, and laser in on one specific thing you want to achieve. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, okay, I'll admit, the title was pretty clickbaity. It'd be insane to be in flow all of the time. Do not make progress a binary outcome that correlates to whether or not you're in flow. If you're not in the zone, don't stress it. It's not like the steps you take to get into flow aren't helpful for productivity regardless. They say most of us spend 5% of our work life in flow, and after 6 weeks practicing 4 triggers, you should see a 35 to 80% increase in flow. You can look more into it, but the specifics don't particularly matter. What's important is that it's trainable and it does not take that long to see results. So be patient with yourself, and remember that there are lots of ways to accomplish your goals. Thanks for watching, like, comment, and subscribe, and check out this video where I make another outrageous claim that's pretty well defended.